Hello, theme park enthusiasts, and welcome back to Planet Coaster and to my Warner Brothers Citywalk. So as you can see here, I'm starting off this episode by going ahead and adding in a few of the things that I needed in this entrance area and security check. So we're putting in some barricades here just to ensure that the guests walk where I want them to, which is through the security checkpoints. And we're putting in these curbs here that will hopefully mean that the guests actually take the escalators down properly instead of just walking through the terrain of the escalator itself. Now in this episode, I will say I'm really proud of what I achieved. I actually built multiple buildings here that are part of the Citywalk and really am starting to get a feel for how this area is going to come to life. I am going to be using quite a few pieces off of the workshop, so I'm not going to try to name them individually in the video itself. I do appreciate each of the different things that I've used here. As you can see, I'm using a beam right here as it is, so that is one of the things I got off the workshop. But yes, I'm not going to name each person audibly right here, but what I am doing is I will have a list of everything that I used that was from the workshop and who created it in the actual information of the video. So that way, if you see something that you sort of want for your own park, by all means you can go ahead and grab it and you can go ahead and use it for your particular build. So here, as I said, just doing a little bit of work on the area that I hadn't gotten to before. What I basically wanted to achieve here was to make this feel more like the roads going into the parking garages. So I named the two different parking garages. We've got the Looney Tunes lot and we've got the DC lot. So both properties that Warner Brothers owns. It probably gives you an idea of some of the things you might see in the actual amusement parks when we get to those, or the theme parks I should say, because these are going to be much more theme park centered instead of amusement centered. And so here just wanted to put down some lines, basically just what you would have coming into the area. I know it's not exactly accurate and the measurements are not perfect, but the fact of the matter is, as I said, this is just to give you an idea of how this area is supposed to function and how people are supposed to get into each park. Because the way I'm going to do the actual entrances to the parks is going to be a bit unique compared to just having them walk through a tunnel in the end. While I appreciate that Planet Coaster just wanted to do something simple to make it easy when you're going into the parks, I wanted to do something a bit more than that. So this is basically my grand entrance for each of the theme parks, and you will see how it's going to work in the end once we get to that point. I'm hoping this whole entryway will probably take maybe 3 or 4 episodes is my guess. Now I'm just looking through a couple different buildings here just to see what I have available that I've gotten from the workshop. You see that building there? You are going to see it here in a little while in much more detail, but I just sort of wanted to see it, and I was trying to figure out where I wanted to place it. I realized fairly early on that this entrance area wasn't going to fit the biggest buildings too well, so I didn't like putting them right there up at the front. So I was checking out the buildings, but at the same time sort of planning where they might go. And those two buildings, you see, the bowling alley and the cinema, will return before the end of the episode here, so we will get to those. Now here I just wanted to sort of have a practicality type of thing of there would be some kind of a wall barricading people from just walking right into the Citywalk. Just safety-wise and stuff, I don't want something like that happening. So we're going to put in a wall here. We're also putting in a curbing to sort of end the parking lot area there. And I mean, there would be staff around to ensure that people didn't walk in the areas they're not supposed to as well. So I'm not going to overthink it or do something too grandiose with it. Basically, I wanted something that took care of the area, made it secure, but at the same time didn't take away from it all that much as well. Here, I had to expand the road a little bit just to get it to work with that curbing, so I just made it a double curbing. Not a huge deal at all. And again, all this is sort of going to be hidden once the Citywalk gets built, so I'm not overly worried about it. Then here, I basically wanted to extend off of the actual escalator path down for my first building here. And originally I was planning on having this be concrete, as you see here, so it just sort of plays off the Citywalk. And as you'll be able to see here, basically I'm building in, what this is going to be is a coffee shop. Now, if you've been to Universal Studios Orlando, they have a Starbucks in their Citywalk area, and I have to say my wife and I incredibly enjoyed just getting in there a little bit early before the parks open and having a nice coffee and a breakfast sandwich at the Starbucks. It was just something nice. It was just some nice private time for the two of us. It was our honeymoon after all, so I really appreciated having that, and I wanted some sort of feel like that here in the Citywalk. Now I am going with the blue benches. I'm still not sold if that's the way I'm going to go in the end with them, but I figured for right now at least I'm going to keep the benches sort of uniform in this area for the most part to the colors of Warner Brothers. So we're going to go with the blue here. You are going to see in one of the buildings I build, they are a different color, and the reason for that is it just fits that particular building. So there is the chance I may come back to this building and change them up to sort of more fit the building. Now, as I said, originally here I'm building this out of concrete, was having some trouble getting the walls to line up, as often happens on Planet Coaster, but I do get it to work out here with just a bit of an overhang of the roof here in a moment. And so I built it this way, and then when I really looked at it, I didn't like the fact that it was concrete in the end. Particularly because I sort of already knew which building I'm putting on the opposite side of the walkway here, and that building I did want to be out of concrete because I felt that building fit being out of concrete. But for a coffee shop here, I didn't really feel in the end that this concrete look really worked. So even though I'm spending this time right now with it being a concrete building, you will see that change here in a little bit. First of all though, just adding in some lighting, not using anything that's TMTK for it, just some basic lighting. Then I went ahead and put in a floor here. Now this floor, I will say later on off camera, you'll see before the next episode, I do change the color of, because I change it to match more with what the new siding of the building is. So right now it sort of fit with the concrete, but it's just a very pale building, and I didn't like that feel overall. It just didn't work for me. So here, putting in some simple decorations. As I said, all of these, for the most part, are actually TMTK things, and I will go ahead and go through in the wording for the video so that you can see who created each of these different things, like the little cups that I'm putting on the tables and such. And that way, if you want them, you can have them. Personally, I love these chalkboards. I use them in multiple of buildings here so far. I actually have to still, in probably next video, go back to a few of the buildings that I added and put some chalkboards, if I have them, for those other buildings. I felt here, since this is going to be a Streetfox coffee, might as well have some merchandise for them as well. So we'll just go ahead and put in a nice t-shirt there. Now, my thought with this is I am going to use the characters from Planet Coaster for this. I will use some of the Warner Brothers licensed characters where I can, but the fact is they're going to be just stationary characters because that's the way it works in the game. And since it is Warner Brothers, and they would be the type of place that would go ahead and create new characters over time, I felt, why is it not possible that they would create the different characters that are in Planet Coaster? So sort of the storyline I'm going with is, you know, Streetfox Coffee, Gulpies, all these different things are new invented brands from Warner Brothers that they're sort of launching here in the park. They might come out with some TV shows for some of these characters later and things of that nature, but they're going to go ahead and launch them here with the park, in that way sort of creating an identity to the park. And I mean, that is something that I feel like Walt Disney did with his parks as well. Some of the characters come in with the parks first and then go into sort of the media realm for it. And I mean, so you see that with things like the Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff, which are rides and whatnot before they ever become people. Now here you can see I'm going ahead and changing out all these sides to go ahead and put in wood instead, because I felt like the wood just felt warmer, and it felt more like I would want this coffee shop to be. I want it to be a warm and inviting place that you just want to come and have a nice cup of coffee. So taking out all that concrete and just replacing it with some nice wood. Now, even with this video being sped up as much as it is, it still, I think, is going to be like 32 minutes in length because there's a lot that I got done this week. And as I said, I'm pretty proud of it. I don't want to spend an enormous amount of time on this Citywalk area because of the fact that this is not an actual park. It is just an entrance to a park. So, while I did want to give some good detail and stuff, and it will be put onto the workshop so that people can explore the Citywalk if they want to, it is not my primary goal here. I am also going through here and I'm changing the characters so that way they're in the proper colors for Warner Brothers. I did make a decision to go with a lighter blue like I have them on in there instead of the darker blue that's actually from the Warner Brothers logo at the front of the park. I just felt like the lighter blue worked better. I liked it a bit more. So here I am adding some security, some maintenance staff, all the different people that the park will need, and just getting all of their outfits sort of color coordinated for the park. As I said, this isn't going to be an enormous area. It's only going to have probably after this episode 4 or 5 more buildings added onto it, and then a couple of rides. So we're not talking something entirely massive by any means. So with that in mind, I really didn't feel like I needed to have an enormous amount of staff with it. So as I said, here I did want this building to be concrete, which is part of the reason I got rid of the concrete on the other building. And in a moment here, you'll be able to see what this is. And basically, it's just a bathroom. If you're coming from the car park and you're coming down the escalators and everything like that, a lot of times people get excited, they want to get to the park early, and when they do, they forget to go to the bathroom before they get here. So I wanted to have a nice big bathroom area for the people to use when they got right into the Citywalk that's just very accessible. That way we don't have any issues with restrooms. So first I put these signs onto the building here. Later I find some other signs that I prefer and I'll change those out. And then this building I'm keeping fairly simple overall. We're just going to do some nice flooring to it here. I end up going with sort of a kitchen tile floor because I felt like it fit for a restroom overall. Originally I was going with this concrete and I was like, that's just too cold. Yes, I want it to be just a very functional space, but at the same time I do want it still to be a little bit inviting. So went with this tile checkerboard pattern here, and I thought that worked out perfectly fine for the place. Now, I had almost forgotten, and I realized I need to put in the pathways first before I go ahead and cover over the flooring, so that way I can ensure that guests can get into it. Now, as you can see here, even though I'm going to have that second side, just trying to get it to actually connect properly and stay inside the building wasn't really working. So it's more just, it exists, but it really isn't functional. But I did want to have a separation, so at least from when you're looking in from the outside, it looks like there's both a men's and a women's room, even though they are truly connected here. And even though in Planet Coaster, the people use the same restroom. Considering that I'm planning this park, in my mind, it's going to be a park that is set in Texas. Yeah, people in Texas would want both a men's and a women's restroom, not everybody using the same one. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that sort of realistic here. So here are those signs that I decided to change out for. As I said, they're more straightforward and they're just traditional sort of restroom signs. Then I also found these wonderful sinks on the workshop and I felt like they fit here. I wasn't able to fit 4 across, so I just put 3 there and just sort of put them in the middle. Did check out a few more pieces of workshop material, didn't find anything I really liked, so just going to slap a sign on the side of it here and then get inside to work on the lighting. Now these always bother me. These lights in-game, they look great. They look like, overhead lighting should look. But the reality of them is they are so underpowered. They don't provide almost any light. So in order to make them really work, what I always do is I hide a floodlight inside of them. Now I end up having to remove them here and doing them outside the building because it just makes it so much easier to do than to try and do it inside the building. Because what you find is then you start getting connected to the building, makes it harder. Additionally, these lights are sort of flat on one side and rounded on the other side, so I went ahead and took 2 of them and connected them together. And just made them, I thought, seem a bit more functional. So now that I've sort of created an actual light that works, I'll go ahead and copy and paste it and move it into the building in the different locations that I need it to go ahead and light this space. Now once again, this is a bathroom. This is an area that I personally always find is a little bit concerning as far as security and stuff, because you don't want, your security guards to be in there all the time creeping people out. But at the same time, people could have something bad happen in a restroom. So I want to make sure that it's very secure. And so for that, I definitely do almost overlight this place. I want it to be nice and bright in here. So that way there's no chance of people, having anything bad happen in that place. Getting off that negative topic, let's jump right into something much cheerier here, and we're building a playground area, as you can see here. Now, these are two different play sets that I found on the workshop. I liked both of them, and so I decided to use them as sort of one unit. And with this, what I'm going to do is they're going to be an indoor play area, because this area, as I said, you don't have to actually even go to the park to use this place. You can just park in the parking lot, and I'm going to be nice, make it free of charge to park in the parking lot even. And then you can come here, you can go shopping, you can have a nice dinner, you can bring your kids to the play area and have a pizza in this area kind of thing. That's sort of the mentality I was going with, so I wanted to continue that. And I want it to be indoors, so that way if it's raining outside and stuff, kids still have something that they can do and enjoy. So here, this particular play area had this checkerboard pattern foam floor, which I thought was just great for it. So I deleted the floor that was under the other portion, the other play area, and then I just go through and add in this foam floor under it to sort of give uniformity to the entire area. Yes, the colors don't all match and stuff, but it's a children's area. Children love bright colors and such, so I don't think that's the end of the world by any means. Now with this, I knew what I was going to theme this as. I already sort of said it. What I wanted here was I wanted a food that the kids would of course enjoy, and so with that I went ahead with pizza. So the entire place is going to be themed to Pizza Pen, which is, you know, one of the franchises in game, and I felt like Pizza Pen Indoor Play Area worked perfectly well as a name for the location. And with that, since it's a pizza location, I decided, you know, I wanted to go with sort of almost a traditional New York or Chicago style to the building. I wanted to sort of go with brick, but I also wanted to put in some nice windows in the location as well, so that way the kids could enjoy and look out into the areas around. Now, I know what's going to be in that back area. We'll get to that probably next week. But for right now, there is going to be something that they might want to look out to, but I don't want them to have access to. So that's sort of the way we're doing it there. Here, I'm putting in a pizza shop as well as a soda shop, so that way you can have a nice slice of pizza and some root beer or something. And then just trying to get the doors to work as I wanted to here. Then once I've got this area set up, I decided for these benches I went with a red instead because it fit with the checkerboard floor in the area. And again, I don't think it has to match with the rest of the area since it is contained within this building. I may change that flooring over for the, or the color scheme over for the coffee shop as well because I made this decision. So then I'm just bricking in these buildings, so the shops there, so that way they work nicely. And then we will go ahead and have this all set up, and want to go ahead and edit this staff as well to make sure that they are properly colored for the rest of the park, because even though the benches and stuff may be the colors of the particular building, these are still going to be Warner Brothers employees. We want to make sure that they are dressed appropriately. And we're also changing all the stuff so that way people enjoy it as much as possible, giving them the most stuff on their pizza for free. And so here, basically, I've started bringing in some of the mascots. So we have Gulpy, because we know he's part of the thing, and we have Foxy, the Streetfox coffee person as well. Wanted to go ahead and bring those in. Also editing how the staff is, because this isn't a theme park really, so I want the staff to be happy and to be taken care of as easily as possible. So here, wanted some nice neon on the outside of the building. Went with that Pizza Pen logo there. I think it works perfectly fine. Here we're going to go ahead and now work on the lighting for this building, which was a little bit of a challenge because, again, I wanted to go with sort of that inner city type of look to the building for Chicago or New York. So I wanted to go with a nice metal beam structure across the roof, and I just hid some lights inside of it and then go ahead and put them throughout the place. And so over the next couple minutes here, you'll see me fit them. I want to sort of get this one as centered as possible, get it stretched all the way across, and then I'll go ahead and copy and paste that one to make more beams. And copy and pasting in this game I do really recommend for a person. It does take a little bit of time, but at the same time it also saves you a lot of time because you get things to be much more uniform by just moving them as an entire segment, just like that. So basically I wanted to take that area, divide that section in two, then I'll copy over both beams here with the lights in them, and then I'll move them to divide that area up fully. And with it being dark, I can sort of see how the lights work. I think that covers it nicely. And then I'll go ahead and take all 4 of these beams and then copy them to the other side of the building here, so that way that area is lit as well. As I said, a lot of copy and pasting, but I do recommend it. It saves you a lot of time, and I think it just makes it look better overall. So there we go. Nice and well lit inside, even in the dark, so that way kids can enjoy while parents are enjoying the location as well. Then I wanted to just get a fairly basic roof here. Went with black so that it would match with the sort of rustic color and stuff of the building. Filled that in. Again, walls hadn't matched up perfectly, so I just put in an extra piece of roof here just to cover that section. Then I wanted to do a little bit of decorating on the inside here. Went with the Pizza Pen logo, and then I decided I might as well actually have the advertisement for the location. So we went with this neon here that I had really liked on the outside. Found a piece that I liked for the interior that I felt fit well enough, and then we'll name it the Pizza Pen Indoor Play Area. Then a nice sign over this, and again we'll go with the chalkboard sign as well here. I did have to move this one beam because it wasn't lining up perfectly with my sign, and that kind of little thing really bothers me OCD wise. So here we got the pizza chalkboard, and we'll go ahead and put it up on this wall. We won't put one for the gulpy, but pizza is fine right there. And then just another piece of neon there just to finish off the decoration. So then across the street from that, the indoor play area is a nice thing for the little kids. I wanted to build something that was a bit more for the young adults that would be coming to the area. So with that, I wanted to go with a different art style entirely. I had this place in mind as, I don't know why, I really like these wall patterns. I don't find a use for them many times, and I felt like this would fit perfectly for what I wanted in this location. And leave it for you to guess at it here for just a moment, then you'll see. We're going to have 2 openings to the front here. Now that that's sort of fleshed out the way I want it, you can see we're getting some arcade machines here because this is going to be an arcade. And all of these arcade machines also come off the workshop, and you will be able to find them on the workshop. I will give links to them. Now with these, I did not name each specific machine separate. Basically, I gave credit to the creators overall. So like I said, coin pushers, because all the coin pushers came from the same person. So if you look them up and coin pusher, you will find different sets that contain these different coin pushers. The same thing. Now all these vintage arcade machines come from the same person, all in one set, and I'm just using them as a set here. You will see me move them around some, and what I'm actually going to do with those is I'm going to hide the actual vintage machines that are in-game in amongst them, so that way they look like they're just part of the setup there. They look like they're just natural where they are, and I thought it works out really well. But yeah, all those came in the same set. The other ones I'm going to use here come from 2 different people, but I'm basically going to use arcade machines and skee ball machines from a couple different people, and I do give them credit, as I said, in the writing of the video, but I don't say each particular machine. You can go to their particular pages though and find all the different machines they created. These guys really did some fantastic work, as you can see here with the detail on the skee ball machines and stuff. I think it just looks excellent. Here I was struggling. I was trying to put the ATM in, and it was not wanting to go where I wanted because of the stuff on the other side of the wall. So I left it alone for a minute. I decided I'm going to come over here and work on the vintage machines that are going to go on this wall. And so the one thing with them, as you can sort of see, they have that sort of barricade around them at the bottom, which I'm not happy about. But what I do is I move some of the vintage machines around to hide that. So that way the curbing isn't really that visible. The flooring won't be a problem because I'm going to put in a floor to the place anyways, so that I wasn't worried about, but we just moved the machines around to make it where that curbing is hidden. And there we go. Then we'll come back here, and this wall I'm going to use actual machines from the game, just color them a bit different. So we've got all these claw machines, because each of these buildings, while they aren't like a ride or anything like that. I want people going into them. I want the building to be accessible and such. And so the best way I felt to do that was to put things in it that people would use, either be it food or things like an ATM, or in this case of the arcade, the claw machines that they will actually use. I also wanted to put the ATM there, and the easiest way I felt with that is it's about the size of an arcade cabinet. So I went ahead and just hid it in there with an arcade cabinet on either side of it, so you can't even tell what it is really. And then here I just go through and I put in the path thing for each of the machines. It looks absolutely horrendous because it's not straight in any way, shape, or form, but that's fine because it's all going to be hidden under the ground here in a moment. But this way people can get to each of the different arcade machines and they can play them if they want to. I was looking for like a carpeting for this place and such, and I also wanted something that I could use on the walls because, as you notice, the coffee shop wall is still wood here. And while I was okay with the concrete in the industrial-like building for the pizza shop, I wasn't that good with the wood here in this building. So I used the star cloth, which is one of my favorite things in-game. I think it works great because you really don't have to get your corners precise or anything. It just sort of blends together, and you can use it on both the walls and the floors as well as ceilings, as you'll see in this building. So I'm just going to cover the entirety of the building pretty much in this, other than the front, because I do have those glass and the openings in the front, and I didn't want to try to have those be blocked by the star cloth. So that wall will remain white, but the rest of it here is all going to turn black, and then I'm just going to put in some nice lighting to make this area exciting. So first we just get a basic roof on it here, just sticking with the same color scheme of the rest of the building. Again, I do not know why, but I cannot get my walls right now to line up properly, so I'm always having to get a roof to fit on a little bit of an adjustment. But that's not the end of the world to me. I'm not too worried about it. Here, what I was doing is trying to get the floor so I could basically just take it up the ceiling. And unfortunately, I had grabbed the air hockey table as well that first time. So I had to redo it here, grabbing the floor, and I'm just going to copy it up to the ceiling to put it on as far as having a ceiling. Then I'm going to go ahead and put these rotating headlights and color them different colors. I did this in my Appleford amusement park for the one ride, and I liked how it looked on the ride, and I felt like it would work here for an arcade because this is a place that you want sort of dark, but at the same time you want it to be exciting. So I think some just nice moving lights and stuff here would work out really well. So just making sure that there's enough of them in here to make the place visible and such. Gonna look at them at night to make sure that they're all moving and such in the way I like. So there we go. And once I get this area fully built, I will put out one last video that sort of shows everything in real time moving and such, so that way you can appreciate and enjoy the area overall. Here, I felt like the old lettering that I use so much in my Appleford amusement parks fits so well here. Arcade just being written on the top here, and then I wanted to blend the colors a little bit with what I had in the building itself, so I do tone down the colors a little bit. I do leave the blue and the yellow of the Warner Brothers, but I do tone them down slightly. And then I wanted just a little design on the roof here because all the other buildings have had flat roofs so far. Just wanted a little bit of something different here. And then we are coming toward the end of the video, but I am going to use some created buildings here to finish off this area. These are right off the workshop, and you'll see I just adjust them slightly with some flooring and such. But first thing I'm going to put in is sort of just a kiosk here, so that way people coming to the park could buy a shirt or something right out there on the street if they want. Here we have the bowling alley that you saw earlier, and all I'm doing is just putting in some pathways because it already had 2 restaurants inside, and that way they can be connected, and again the place is actually usable. You will see in the next episode, I do go ahead and in between the episodes I change the name of the bowling alley to fit in with the Warner Brothers theme. I also do change the one restaurant here because the Monster of Frites works perfectly fine, but we already had a Gulpy soda. So I'm going to go ahead and take that Gulpy out, and I'm going to put in a milkshake place instead here. Then we'll head over to the other side of the street, and we're going to go ahead and put in the final building for this episode, which is going to be the movie theater. Again, it's not a usable building as far as watching movies in, but in this building there is a restroom, and there are 2 vintage popcorn machines that actually blend in perfectly into the building. The person who did this did a fantastic job with it. I give them an enormous amount of credit. But I do make some tweaks to this building here. First thing I do is I change all the signs to be movies that are actually from Warner Brothers that just came out recently. So that way it's sort of, this is what this theater would be showing, is the things that are playing for Warner Brothers. Now, like Wonka isn't out yet, but it will be very soon. So I went ahead and put that in. Meg 2 has been out for a little bit of time, but as I said, I'm trying to get the movies that are Warner Brothers related. I went through and I didn't even realize Blue Beetle was a Warner Brothers film, but evidently it is. So I changed those, put the pieces behind it back in place. I'm going to go ahead and put the Warner Brothers logo onto this cinema so that way it just fits a little bit more and it seems a bit more official for the area. But as I said, this way people will go into this place hopefully and they'll get some popcorn and stuff, so they'll enjoy it. Next episode then, I'm going to hopefully finish off the buildings of the area, and I may put in the rides, or at least one of the rides for this location. For now though, I'm going to go ahead and let you enjoy the end of this video and just seeing what I did. If you enjoyed the video, please go ahead and click that like button, and if you've not already, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon, so that you're aware when I produce new videos in the future. Thank you, and I hope to see you all again for more Planet Coaster.